Hi, my name is Sarin. I'm from Sarin Tantig, and today I'm gonna be showing you how to make gata. It's quite a long process, so please bear with me. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So let's get going. First, we're gonna make our yeast with water. So we need half a cup of water and 2 tablespoons of yeast in your water. And there you go. You let that rest while you make the rest of the dough, which is you gotta beat 10 eggs, which is 2 cups of eggs, with 1 cup of sugar. Eggs with sugar. Now we Actually, in the meantime, it's a good idea to get your butter and shortening melting. That way, by the time that this is all whipped, you can just add it in. So it's a 1/4 cup Crisco and a 1/2 cup butter. So while this is happening, try and keep your eye on the yeast. Make sure to see when you have to stir that too, because you want to make sure all the yeast gets fully incorporated into the water. When you're waiting at this point, just make sure the yeast is bubbling. It should take about 5 to 10 minutes. So once your butter and Crisco is melted, just add that to the eggs and sugar and mix. We're not trying to get scrambled eggs. And then, also, I always do it in the same pot because that's cleaning after. You get your 1.5 cups of milk and you just add it to the same pot, and then this goes back on the stovetop. So we're mixing our eggs, sugar, and butter Crisco until it's mixed well. And at this point, your yeast should kind of be bubbling a little bit. Should kind of just be a little bit thicker when you go to stir it, which is great, because now we're going to add this. And now we mix again. So you should feel it kind of like thicken up a little bit. Now we have to add the rest of the ingredients, which is milk, mahaleb, sugar, and flour. So I like to add the flour last. That way I make sure that the mahaleb and the salt is actually evenly dispersed within the liquids. Some people would add them to the flour first, make sure they're within the flour, and then add that all the dry together, but that's just not how I do it. So now milk, and it's 2 teaspoons mahaleb, 1 teaspoon salt. This is where the fun begins. So 9 cups flour. Here we go. There's no real technique to kneading, you just kind of go for it. Trick is you can't be afraid. Just wing it. It's the worst that can happen.
Do you know the history of Gata?
No. So there's a bunch of different versions, I believe, of Gata. It's more traditionally something you see in Armenia. It's not, from my understanding, it's not something that's very common in the diaspora, because I am Syrian and Lebanese Armenian. So it's not something that we grew up with, but it was something that we were introduced when we went to Armenia. And it's just heaven on earth. It's very delicious. It's a lot of work though, so be prepared and freeze it, because there's no way you're going to eat it all.
You said you cook this with your business?
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about that?
So Sarin Tantig is something that Ryerson ASA started as an initiative to raise funds for the war that was happening in Artsakh. And it was sort of taken from the fact that I love to bake, particularly Armenian goods, and one dish in particular, which is our keghke, which it's a recipe that I got from my great aunt, my Mari Tantig, and something that I love to make for my family. And then now we make nazuk as well, and potentially more in the future, we shall see. But yeah, it's just a really good time. Now at this point, this is what we do. This bowl is getting annoying. think we're gonna take this as a win. So we're gonna get a bowl, we're gonna grease it, we're gonna put this, cover it in a warm place and let it rise for a couple hours. And I kind of like to twist it, turn it, and so it already feels a little bit better. So we're gonna cover this. I cover it with saran wrap because in my head I feel like cloths are too heavy for the dough to rise. I don't really have a time, couple hours. I just check on it regularly. So I like to put it in the oven just to, it's a warm place. Everything's got to be oiled / greased. So that's what we do. Beautiful. So this recipe yields about, I think, 8 or 9, 8 to 10, depending on the size of keghke or gata you want. I do it, once again, achki chapov. So I kind of just scoop some dough and form it into a ball. Pinch kind of the end, and that's it. We have one done. Beautiful. So I'll show you the difference between like a small and a large. So that one would be small. And this one, obviously, it's a lot more dough. So this one would be a large gata. And so we're just gonna let this, we're gonna form them, cover them again, and store them in a warm place, and let them rise until doubled in size. So probably another hour and a half or so, I should say. Probably half an hour or 20 minutes before they're ready to go, I'll start making the filling. That way the filling is still kind of fresh and it's not as dried out and powdery. So just make sure everything's kind of greased. Everything has enough space because these will get big. It's fine if they're touching once they expand, but you just want to make sure they have enough space. So saran wrap once again, and then we're good to go. So we've let the dough rise. We've let it rise a little bit too long, but that's okay. You can see it's kind of big. You want to make the filling about half an hour, maybe 20 minutes before you want to stop letting the dough rise, because that's how long it'll take. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get, it's 1 pound, so it's about 2 cups of butter. We're going to get that on the stove and start melting already. And then it's 2.25 cups of sugar. So now we add cloves, mahaleb, and salt. And we mix. But you want to make sure before you start adding the flour that everything you've added up until this point is like fully incorporated and properly dispersed within this mixture. So I like to add the flour in kind of part by part to just kind of make sure it's all getting hydrated, or else it might be too much because it's 7 cups. So, and you only have like 2 cups of butter to kind of be the wet to this. So at this point, your forearms and your shoulders should be on fire. And if they're not, then add more flour. It's gonna feel really dry, but it should be able to stick to itself. And this is gonna be what they call choriz. It's not just like a regular michug. Gata filling has a particular name, and that's what this is, so it's choriz. So that's what this is. So you can see it kind of looks really like powdery and like refined. I think that's the right word. But if I go and I press, it becomes really compact. So now you don't want to let this kind of sit out for too long, or else it becomes really hard and chalky to work with. So now that we have this made, we're going to start filling our gatas. So to start forming our gata, make sure you have a little bit of melted butter and some sort of measuring cup or scoop thing, and we're gonna get started. So you get your gata, one of your balls that has hopefully poofed up very nicely here. So we roll it out. Try and make it a circle. Take your brush with your butter and you butter it up. It's what probably gives it its delicious taste. Just lots and lots of butter. And there we go. We're gonna start filling. So I just like to scoop, and I remember I like to make different sizes gata. So I remember, okay, this is one of like the bigger ones, which means the dough can stretch. So I think that's enough. So I kind of put it in the middle, and then I fold it like an envelope type thing, or like more like a dumpling, to be quite honest. So I pull, and then I just grab the corner and I meet them in the middle. And we grab the last point, and then I like to kind of pinch it all together. So now we're gonna roll it out again. So sometimes I'll roll it with a rolling pin, or sometimes I'll flatten it with my hands, because you wanna make sure that the filling is staying even kind of throughout. So sometimes what I'll even do is, to kind of feel it, I'll kind of flip it upside down, and this is how I'll roll. And I'm not applying too much pressure, but I do want it to be flat. And hopefully without spilling any filling. Get your gata, flip it over, and there you have it. A gata ready to go. So now we're gonna rinse and repeat. So now we're gonna do the same thing. You want to make sure that, you know, you're not over opening or like over rolling out, making it too thin. You don't want to stretch it too thin. Oh, we didn't butter this. So this is what we do. Oh, come on. And we butter. And there we go. Now we fill. Same concept. Just pull and fold. Oh, there we go. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll flip it upside down first, and I'll kind of roll it the opposite way into kind of like a little bit of a ball to make sure that there's no opening. And then I'll flatten it with my hands, trying to keep equal pressure and trying to make sure that I feel filling all the way through. And then I'll roll it out a little bit. There we go. Oh, no. So if that happens, you kind of just pinch it shut. And there you have it. Small and a large gata. So now we'll move this here. So now that we have all our gatas made, we're gonna egg wash them, cover them, and let them rise in a warm place for an hour. Then we're gonna egg wash them one more time, and then put them in the oven. Be generous with the egg wash. This is what's gonna give it its nice color. And also you kind of wanna make sure you go around the edges to make sure that it's an even color throughout the entire gata. So this is the third and final proof that these will go through once we finish egg washing. Make sure to cover. I know you just put egg wash on them, it's a little icky, but it's okay. Saran wrap and then warm place. You also want to make sure there's enough space on the trays in between the two gatas because these will expand. And there you have it. So we have let our gatas rise in a warm area. As you can see, they've gotten bigger. So now for the final step, we're gonna uncover them tray by tray, egg wash them one more time, put them in the oven. They should bake for around 20 to 30 minutes at 350. And then you're good to go. You have gata. So here we go. And once again, like the first egg wash, be generous. Make sure you get all the sides. And there you go, you're almost there. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes since I put in the first tray of gata. At 15 minutes, I put in a second tray, egg washed it, put it in the same as before. And now we're at the 30-minute mark, so I'm gonna pull out the first tray and switch the levels for the second one. So this is kind of the color you want. You can take it a bit further too. Don't be scared of the darkness on top. The trick is you wanna make sure you check the bottom. So just lift up the bottom and you kind of wanna, I don't know if you can see, you kind of want it to get a little brown. You wanna make sure it's dark, it's even all the way through. And there you go, you made gata.
Welcome to Learn the Dish.
My name is Miran.
My name is Ani.
My name is Silva.
The best way to get to know a people is through their food.
Today I'm going to show you how to make tabbouleh.
I'm going to show you how to make mantı.
One of our specialties here is Armenian coffee.
We're building a community to share the traditional dishes just like your grandma used to make.
Everybody would come and ask me for mantı.
Always super proud to serve here.
Come with us. Share your recipes too. And maybe learn the dish.
Enjoy.